What's going on, everyone? The Steve Will Do It crash out saga is still unfolding, and honestly, this has been building for about 4 or 5 months now. But the moment that really pushed things further was Steve constantly bringing up Nelk. He's been talking about them for a while, especially Kyle. And Kyle, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the co-founders of Nelk and basically the main face of the brand right now. He was doing an interview with the Iced Coffee Hour, where he started explaining the situation and talking about how much money they made, especially from merch. And that's what seemed to trigger Steve Will Do It.
People don't really know too is like, even though those merch numbers were like so high, believe it or not, money in my like specific pocket personally, and like Jesse's as well, because we were the two owners of Nelk, right? Steve wasn't really like, he wasn't an owner of Nelk. He was getting paid out in cash from merch. So the amount of money that me and Jet, as an owner, sometimes you take less cash, right? Because you own the equity.
Yeah.
So you can ask Jesse too. I mean, we weren't personally making a lot off the merch operation because it was money in, and then we had to pay out like a lot of people. And then it was also when we're traveling in Europe, you're bringing 15 people, you're getting an Airbnb every single week. You're spending on flights, videos, like that money goes quick. Maybe some people are suing us for pranks behind the scenes that we like some people during pranks. So everything added up. So even the merch business, as much when it's all said and done, like gross and then minus profit for like goods, shipping, everything like that. Personally, in my bank account, I never really got too rich off merch. Yeah, I kind of used to like manage him more. Like obviously, like when I met him, my promise to him was when I saw who he really was, like because I saw the drinking and stuff. But when I met,
So here Kyle is basically saying that a lot of money was being generated from the merch, but that he personally didn't make much from it. He also doesn't say exactly how much money was made at the time, but as of yesterday, that information actually came out. Then he goes on to start talking about his relationship with Steve.
I kind of used to like manage him more. Like obviously, like when I met him, my promise to him was when I saw who he really was, like because I saw the drinking and stuff. But when I met him and I like fell in love with his personality, I felt like, we were at 2 million subscribers. I kind of had figured out the game. And like my promise to Steve was really just like, bro, like if you trust me, like I feel like I can help make you like rich and like successful. And I think I see something in you, and I think I can help guide you and like make you successful. And I think that was like our mission. And I feel like that's what we did. But he's just a guy. He's just a guy that's like, he's just gonna do whatever the he wants. You know what I'm saying? So I think he has a lot of other people in his ear now too, where it's like everyone wants a piece of him. You know what I'm saying? He's Steve will do it. He's the man. So the one thing I can never do with Steve is not be honest with him. I mean, me and Steve are cool. It's not like like the internet likes to make it some like we have beef or something like that. Like I'll see him tonight.
That's
and
what
we're gonna be
that's what I've
cool,
seen a
but-
lot of the comments.
But no, it's like
yeah.
I think right now we're just kind of on two different paths right now. And I think Steve's like, I don't know, he's doing his thing and he's crushing his YouTube. And like I'm loving his content. I'm watching like every video. I know his editor Alex is killing the edits too. And like I'm happy for him. I think we're just on like two different paths at the moment. I don't know. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with content and YouTube too, because I'm getting older. I'm 31. Like I'm trying to figure out like how does this old Nelk Kyle kind of continue, and what's my next chapter, because I'm not really drinking and partying like I used to.
This is an important point to understand. Nelk already had around 2 million subscribers when they found Steve Will Do It. And yes, Steve was definitely the star. When you put Steve next to someone like Kyle, even in their prime or now, Steve is just far more entertaining. He's the type of person who can hold attention no matter what. Whether people watch for the chaos, the humor, or because he feels relatable, he knows how to keep viewers watching. But at the same time, a star still needs a platform, and Nelk gave him that. They already had a huge audience. Steve definitely helped them grow, but it's not like they were a tiny channel that suddenly blew up after meeting him. And at this point, he didn't even seem to have a problem with them. He was actually planning to hang out with them later that day. But then he has a conversation with Bradley Martin, who's close with both sides, and that's when Steve starts bringing up the money situation again.
It's even just growing full send and Nelk and everything, having no
ownership or involvement.
But didn't you have ownership at one point?
Yeah, dude, and they gave me, said, you have 15% for free. And
Free's funny because free.
and then you get extra 5%.
Free's also
No. You have 10% for free for what you've done. Okay.
So not free. Free is what you.
But
get
if you invest, $500,000 right now, like we need it by tomorrow, you'll get a free 15% plus an additional 5%, which is 20%. So yeah, did that, sent the money, got nothing out of it. Years later, nothing. Had to threaten them to act. People like to say I'm just, oh, Steve's crazy. No, Steve is fed up.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, bro.
So
So a lot of people started saying Steve got done dirty, like he lost his equity and the $500,000. Because of all that talk, Nelk ended up addressing it, which makes sense since they're a big brand and the situation was getting a lot of attention.
Steve signed a deal with Nelk that clearly outlined how he would get paid for merch, brand deals, appearances, everything. So, on Steve's personal merch, he received 70% of the net profits. Nelk's 30% was not pure profit. It covered the design, the production, the fulfillment, inventory, everything that it takes to make a successful merch drop. A 70% creator split while the company manages full operations is a very strong deal. So now let's talk about how much money Steve earned from Nelk. So I'm going to pop up something here. It's a year-by-year breakdown of personal cash earnings for me and Steve. So you can see here from 2019 to 2023 how much I made and how much Steve made each year. Over that stretch, personally, I earned just under $3.5 million. Over that same stretch, Steve earned just over $12 million in cash. And these payments were just from Nelk.
So here we finally get the exact numbers. Kyle made about $3.4 million over 4 to 5 years, which backs up what he said about not getting insanely rich from the merch. A lot of people assumed he must have made $20 million or more since Nelk merch drops were doing huge numbers. But the reality was much lower, mainly because of costs like production, design, and distribution. Meanwhile, Steve was getting paid directly from his merch and also making a lot from outside brand deals.
Also did outside third-party brand deals independently from Nelk. In our deal, there was a standard 15% management fee for Nelk on these outside deals, but I chose not to enforce that percentage on several major deals. On those deals, Steve kept the full 100% amount. So the reason I earned less than Steve during that time is pretty simple. The money had to stay in Nelk so we could keep shooting videos. Shooting these videos was not cheap. You have the production, the filmers, the editors, the travel. All that required real capital. When we were traveling through Europe with 15 people so we could shoot, edit, and upload a video every single week, the Airbnbs, the production, the travel, that stuff was not cheap. If the money didn't stay in the company, then these videos would not get made. So as the owner, it was my job and my priority to keep the money in the company and pay the people that made the content possible over taking more money personally.
So when you look at it, it actually makes sense. If a group with 2 million subscribers brings you in and helps get you deals, them taking a percentage isn't that crazy. It's similar to how artists get put on in music and the person who helped them gets a cut. Then Kyle goes on to explain the equity situation.
So let's talk about Steve's equity in Nelk. First of all, equity means ownership. It's not monthly pay. Equity becomes valuable as the company grows and eventually sells, goes public, or becomes extremely profitable. It's pretty much a long-term bet on the future of the company. I explained clearly what the equity meant to Steve, and I gave him 10% of the company, and he also chose to invest $500,000 for an additional 5%. At that time, nobody, including me, was taking extra owner payouts. The structure of the company didn't change because Steve became an owner. The money had to stay in the business if we wanted to pay the people that made the content possible so we could keep making videos. I explained to Steve that equity is long-term and it could pay off over time and it's not immediate cash flow. Over time, Steve made it clear that he preferred immediate cash over holding ownership for a potential long-term outcome. So we returned his $500,000 plus $50,000 in interest. Like I said earlier, there was a 15% management fee on Steve's outside deals to Nelk, and as Steve's business grew, He wanted full independence and no longer wanted to do any type of revenue sharing with Nelk. At his request, we agreed to that structure and he no longer held equity in Nelk. That meant that Nelk would no longer be able to collect 15% on his outside deals and he would no longer have equity in Nelk. The separation agreement formalized that, we both signed it, and today there are no revenue sharing between